Listen up. I won't sugarcoat it. This is the longest cold, flu, and allergy season we've ever seen, but we're not alone. We've got Instacart. Sure, you may be a coughing snot faucet who just wants mommy, but you're not giving up. Not when cold medicine, fragrant herbal teas, and honey shaped like bears can be delivered through Instacart in as fast as 30 minutes. Now let's go win the sick playoffs.
Daddy, I just want my soup.
Oh, sorry, Sport. App says it'll be here in a few minutes. Instacart for the win.
Why?
Why?
If you have T-Mobile 5G home internet, you might be hearing this
Why?
a lot.
Why?
Every time your internet slows down during the busiest hours.
Why?
Why?
Because your network gives priority to cell phone users.
Why?
Good question. Why not switch to Cox Internet with 2 times faster download speeds than T-Mobile 5G home internet during peak hours?
Okay.
Stop the whys and visit cox.com/5G home for details. T-Mobile prioritizes certain T-Mobile phone users over home internet users during times of congestion.
Here's Jerry Palm from CBSSports.com, bracketologist. Jerry, hello, welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
Well, we're doing well. We always look forward to talking with you annually about college basketball. So I'll make the statement this year, coming off a Final Four last year that included San Diego State and Florida Atlantic, both teams that kind of came out of nowhere. How likely is that to be the case again this year? I know it's very hard to predict, but would anybody be surprised if we had a couple teams like that again?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it was unusual. You know, it's surprising for last year for a reason. You know, it's just, you don't normally get 8 seeds in the Final Four. Florida or San Diego State, I think, was a 5. It's just UConn was a 4, but they were probably a better team than that. They didn't have a better season than that. They didn't necessarily deserve a better seed, but they were a better team than that. And then, we had, no 1s, no 2s. That's an unusual thing. So, yes, it would be surprising if that happened again.
So, when there's this much parity in college basketball, and especially in the big conferences where it seems like anybody can beat anybody on a given night, does the math and analytics and things that you look at, does that make it more clear, or can that even almost sometimes add to the fuzziness of it all, and you don't always know what to make of that either?
Well, the thing that's really odd this year is how much trouble teams are having on the road. We have the percentage for teams that were ranked in the top 10 playing on true road games are winning at only about 40%, and normally it's well north of 50. So that's kind of unusual. And one of the things that the committee looks for is your ability to win, especially NCAA tournament over NCAA tournament type teams away from home. Now, that could be neutral courts also. But, yeah, the difficulty teams have had winning on the road this year, especially in conference play, has been a little bit surprising. And it's going to make it'll make the committee's job a little bit harder because you're looking for those wins, and there's fewer of them this year.
Jerry Palm with us, CBSSports.com. Is there a popular theory as to why there's been this downturn and teams being able to go on the road and win games?
Well, lately, anytime there's something goes against trend, everybody just says, well, it's NIL and transfer portal. I don't know if we have enough data to support that, but because it's really only been a couple of years where that's had a great deal of influence in college sports. But that seems to be the go-to for anything that's a little bit different. I don't have a better answer than that, but I'm not sure that's the right answer either.
I can't connect those dots, so I don't know. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jeff.
exactly.
So, yeah, I was just wondering, to use the Big 12 as an example, and I guess a specific example, how difficult do you imagine that league will be to kind of sort through next year when they add Arizona and Colorado and Utah, and I guess to a lesser extent Arizona State? But these 3 teams that could be powerhouses from year to year, any given year, adding them to a mix where even the best teams are going to lose 7-8 conference games most likely. How do you sort through something like that?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all of this happens with the committee because, you're talking about an 18-team league. Oklahoma, Texas are out. So would that make it 16 or 18?
16, I believe.
They can't keep it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the Big Ten is going to be 18. The SEC is going to be 18. The Big 12 is still going to be 16. It's going to be difficult. I mean, conference standings don't mean anything anyway as far as the selection process because you're judged on your entire season. But when you've got that many teams in the conference and you're only playing home and home against maybe 2 or 3 other teams in the league, it's going to be really conference standings are going to tell you absolutely nothing. And your conference schedule could be really important for bubble teams in particular in terms of trying to make the NCAA tournament. It's the committee's job, I think, is going to be a lot harder because you just don't have, the interplay among teams in the same conferences that you're used to seeing, and teams maybe not having as good an opportunity.
Talking college basketball with Jerry Palm from CBSSports.com. I do the show daily, Jerry, with my son, and we argue a lot. I don't know if you have sons, but I would guess you argue
3,
with them if you
actually.
do. There you go.
That's
Well, they can gang up on you. That's not fair. So I made the statement earlier this week that I viewed Iowa State. I watch them a lot. I watch a lot of Big 12. I view Iowa State as a serious Final Four threat. My son, in response, said if they make the Final Four, he would eat anything of my choosing. How outlandish is it for Iowa State to get to the Final Four?
Oh, I don't think it's outlandish at all. Did you see the teams that made it last year?
Exactly.
Hey, you said that would be surprising, though.
Well, no, I don't know. I mean, I think Iowa State is a little bit different this year. The thing about Iowa State is in many years, it seems like they're a home court hero, so then they get off their home court. They don't do as well, and then they get to the NCAA tournament, and they don't have home court there either, and, maybe it's not going so well. But this year's team seems built a little different. They've been more successful away from home. They're a very defensive-oriented team, which is typical, but better at it. They have really good guards. I think that Iowa State can make a run. Obviously, the matchups matter for everybody, not just them. But it's I like their prospects this year better than I have in other years.
I know this isn't the right way to look at it, and certainly it's not going to be the way you look at it because it's more emotional than anything. But as I get older, I just feel like I got to go based on history. And until Iowa State does it, they're a team that throughout my lifetime has lost more games as a higher seed than it seems like they've won. And I'm sure that's not the case, but they're a team that usually goes out early. It's not that I don't think they have the talent. It's just that it seems like there are about 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 teams, maybe at the most, from year to year who are going to win it, and they're never in that mix. So I just feel like if it never happened, it's probably not going to happen.
Well, I don't know off the top of my head what their history is. I don't think of them as being higher seeded very often, though. So I could be wrong about that too. Iowa State. It's the problem with history with college basketball is going off of that is that college sports are transient. The players come and go, and it's not like the NBA where you often have a lot of guys that stick around for a long time. This is a different animal. So it's I don't know that it's I wouldn't get too wrapped up in history because history can change pretty easily.
Jerry Palm with us. We mentioned earlier San Diego State getting to a Final Four last year. They have another really good team, and they're in a conference that is vastly overachieved any expectations we had for the Mountain West this year. How real is the power in that conference?
They're really good. Yeah, I've been watching quite a bit of it this year. They've got 6 teams that are all capable of winning at least one game in the NCAA tournament, and a couple that could go even further. San Diego State, again, really good this year. Some of the same guys back, but not all of them. But they are what they are. They're a good defensive team. Everybody's built like a linebacker. They're really strong, and they're tough to beat. But Utah State's good. Colorado State is good. Those three, I would not be surprised to see any, if not all of them, in the Sweet 16. They may not be seeded for it, but I think that they have a decent chance of making that kind of a run. And then New Mexico, Nevada, Boise State. New Mexico's talented. They just haven't shown much off their home floor yet. So I'm a little more leery of them. And Boise State and Nevada, I think, are a little bit more limited, but could still win a game, if not two, in the NCAA tournament.
So we've seen a school like Cincinnati. They're certainly not all the way there yet by any stretch, but it seems like they're in position to once again become nationally relevant, going from the American to the Big 12. Is there a school, a new school in the American that can make a revitalization similar to that? Maybe not to that level, but is there any program that's well positioned? Because right now, South Florida, Charlotte, they wouldn't even be at-large teams most likely.
No, it's South Florida leads the league. They're in my bracket as the automatic qualifier, but they don't have a realistic shot at an at-large team. No, the team that's new to the league that is best positioned to be successful, Florida Atlantic. Because they were in Conference USA last year, made a run to the Final Four, of course, have most of those guys back. The problem for most of the teams in the American is that when you have success, people start coming after your coach. So Florida Atlantic coach Dusty May may be getting calls from, say, Indiana here, which is his alma mater, sometime soon if they decide to cut ties with Mike Woodson after another pretty miserable, underachieving season at IU. I don't think they're going to do it this year, but that he's the kind of a guy that is going to be very sought after this off season, and if he doesn't move next off season or whenever the Indiana job opens up, he'll be their first call. So it's still going to be a league that's going to have a hard time holding on to coaches. Memphis is the exception because of Penny Hardaway, the current coach, is not going to leave for another job, although at some point they may decide to try another coach anyway.
Well, they had one of their good games last night against Charlotte, so we'll see. Jerry Palm, last question.
4 games. Go ahead.
Yeah. If I had to press you and ask you to pick the most likely Final Four lock, who would you pick?
Well, I'd like to see the draw first. UConn.
There you go.
Because of their guards. And they know how to do it. I mean, they've got, this team, it's obviously not the same team as last year. They've lost a few guys off of that team, but they haven't really lost a beat. That's a team that now knows how to do it and how to get there. The team that, for me, is going to be the most interesting is Purdue because of how bad it ended for them last year. And, you've got almost all of that team back. And they've added Lance Jones, who's been a real spark plug for them on both ends of the floor. And it's a team that's really fixated on postseason success. So I'm really curious to see what they're going to do.
Jerry, great stuff. I really appreciate you coming on our radio show, and best of luck as we get ready for a really busy period of time here. Thank you, Jerry.
All right, thanks.
How powerful is Cox Internet? Powerful enough to let your band members in Vegas, Phoenix, and Rhode Island jam like you're all in the same garage. Get Cox Internet powered by fiber with America's fastest download speeds. It's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, always building better. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial connection. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and other restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence Data. Fixed median download speeds. US Q3 2023.
I'm Glennon Doyle, author of Untamed and host of the podcast We Can Do Hard Things. On We Can Do Hard Things, my wife Abby, my sister Amanda, and I talk honestly about the hard parts of life. Join us and guests like Michelle Obama, Tracy Ellis Ross, and Brene Brown as we have refreshingly honest conversations. New episodes are out every Tuesday and Thursday, so listen to and follow We Can Do Hard Things, an Odyssey podcast, available now for free on the Odyssey app and everywhere you get your podcasts.